Have you ever stopped to think about the invisible architecture that runs, well, pretty much everything? We're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden structure that powers your social media feed, the GPS in your car, the entire internet, and it's all based on one simple idea called a graph. Okay, take a look at this. At first glance, it just looks like a crazy, chaotic web, right? But what you're actually seeing is a perfect example of a graph. Every single dot is a computer or a server, and every line connecting them is a data link. This isn't just some abstract drawing. It's the very thing that makes our digital lives possible.
But here's where it gets really mind-bending. That exact same structure, that simple map of dots and lines, doesn't just describe the internet. It also perfectly maps out your social circle, all the airline routes in the world, and even the best way to get home from work. So how on earth can one single concept explain so many different things?
Well, the secret is that all of these systems, no matter how different they seem on the surface, are built on the exact same elegant principle. At their core, they're all just networks. And the universal language for talking about networks, that's the graph.
So let's break this massive idea down to its most basic parts. You're going to see it's actually way simpler than you think. In fact, it all just comes down to dots and lines. So everything, and I mean everything, starts with the dots. In the world of graph theory, we call these vertices. A vertex can be literally anything. A person in a social network, a city on a map, a single web page, you name it. They're just the individual things in our network. And then, of course, we add the lines. We call these edges, and they show the relationship between two vertices. An edge could be a friendship, a flight path between two cities, a road, a hyperlink on a website. It's the glue that holds all our dots together. And that's it. Seriously, that's the whole foundation. A graph is just a set of vertices and the edges that link them up. It's this beautiful, simple definition that lets us model all of those incredibly complex systems we were just talking about. All right, so now that we've got the basic building blocks down, dots and lines, let's dig into how they help us understand really complex relationships and, find our way through them. Okay, for the next few ideas, let's use this simple graph as our little playground. You can see we've got 7 vertices, A through G, and a bunch of edges connecting them. Let's see what we can figure out just by looking at how it's put together. So one of the first things you might want to know about a vertex is its degree. All that is a simple count of how many edges are connected to it. It's a great way to think about it as like social popularity. The more connections you have, the higher your degree. So if we look at our example, vertices B and E are kind of the life of the party, right? They each have 4 connections. A, C, and D are pretty popular too, with 3 each. Then you've got F, who's only got 1 friend, and poor old G over there, completely isolated, with a degree of 0. The next really big idea is a path. And a path is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a way to get from one vertex to another by hopping along the edges. It's basically a journey through the network. For instance, let's say we want to get from vertex A all the way over to F. One way to do it is to go from A to B, then from B to E, then to C, and finally landing on F. And since we had to cross 4 different edges to make that trip, we say the length of that path is 4. Simple as that. But here's the thing. In the real world, not all connections are created equal, are they? Some roads are way longer, some flights are more expensive, some internet connections are slower. This is where we add one more layer that makes graphs so incredibly powerful for solving real problems. This is what we call a weighted graph. You can see here that every edge now has a number on it. That's its weight. And that number can represent whatever we want it to. It could be the distance in miles between 2 cities, the price of a plane ticket, or the time it takes to drive down a certain road. And this brings up a super important point. The path with the fewest steps isn't always the best one. Look at this. To get from A to G, the path through D looks more direct, right? Only 2 steps. But when you add up the weights, the total cost is 8.8. Meanwhile, the longer path through C and F is actually cheaper, with a total cost of just 7.1. This leads us right into one of the most famous and important problems in all of computer science. Finding the absolute best route isn't about checking 1 or 2 options. In a real-world map with thousands of roads, there are billions and billions of possibilities. The big challenge, the one your GPS solves in seconds, is this. What is the absolute lowest cost path to get from A to G?
The answer is 5.7.
Yep. The actual best path from A to G is this really winding journey. You go from A to C, then to F, all the way back to D, then over to E, and finally to G. It is definitely not the path you'd pick just by looking at it, but the math does not lie. This is exactly the kind of puzzle that amazing algorithms like Dijkstra's were built to solve, and it's what's happening under the hood every time you ask for the fastest way home.
You know, not all graphs have to be these complicated, tangled webs. Let's take a look at a really special, super efficient type of graph that you definitely use every single day, probably without even thinking about it.
It's called a tree, and it follows a few very strict rules. First, it has to be connected. And second, it can't have any cycles, no loops. You can't start at one point, wander around, and end up back where you started without retracing your steps. This means there's only one, and I mean one, unique path between any 2 points. It is the most efficient way to connect stuff with zero redundancy. And what's so cool about trees is that you could take any one of them, just pick a random vertex and call it the root, and bam, suddenly you have a clear hierarchy. This is exactly how a family tree is organized, or even the file system on your computer, with all the folders branching out from your main hard drive.
Okay, let's zoom back out for the big picture. We've seen the simple building blocks, just vertices and edges, and we've seen how adding things like weights and rules can let us model our unbelievably complex world. So, at the end of the day, why does any of this matter? It matters because graphs give us a universal language to describe relationships. They're not just a nerdy tool for computer scientists, they are a powerful lens that lets us see the hidden connections in biology, in finance, in sociology, you name it. So the real takeaway here is that our world is basically just one giant interconnected graph. And now that you know the language of vertices and edges, I'm going to leave you with one final question. What hidden networks are you going to start seeing all around you?